On behalf of the SuperHealth team, what a warm welcome from myself, Siri Dharma. And today we are so fortunate to have Rachel Surinderjot Kaur. Thank you so much for being here, Rachel Surinderjot.
Thank you so much for having me, Siri Dharma.
I am thrilled for this interview. Personally, 12-step programs and Kundalini Yoga were both huge foundations in my healing journey. And so I was thrilled when I heard about Rachel Surinderjot because she's put both of them together. So Rachel provided us a guest blog post earlier this week. If you haven't checked that out yet, I strongly encourage you to. And she'll share more of her story there. But briefly, Rachel Surinderjot, what are some highlights from your journey that you want to share to help introduce yourself today?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. So let's see, I got introduced to 12 steps in about 2007. I was in a marriage to an addict and was in a lot of suffering, and so found Al-Anon, which was really helpful. And my husband at the time was also joined 12 steps. So that was kind of my introduction to 12 steps. And then I myself got sober a year or so later through AA, and had an AA sponsor who actually brought me to my first Kundalini Yoga class. And she brought me there at a real low point. I was sober, I was working the steps, I was going to meetings, but I was miserable. And so she, like in this kind of real moment of crisis, she was like, do you want to go try a Kundalini Yoga class? And I was like, okay, sure. And it just felt like I was coming home. And so from that day forward, like literally every day since that day, I have done a Kundalini Yoga practice of one form or another, because it really feels like that saved my life. I had to get sober first, but then finding the practice, a daily practice, a way to just connect to my soul, to the divine, move energy through my body, work with my emotions. It just has been so key. So that's where I got the inspiration to put the two together, because both saved my life.
Thank you for sharing that. I so resonate with that. Coming home felt like coming home is the same words that I've used to describe my first experience with Kundalini Yoga. So thank you for that. Two-part question. Part one, how would you explain 12-step to somebody who has no idea what you and I are talking about? And number two, I feel like you started to already answer this. So any final thoughts? But why did you put Kundalini Yoga and 12-step together? What do you feel like are the benefits of having the two together?
Okay. So first, what is a 12-step program? Well, one is it's not just the steps, although the steps are key. But all of the aspects of the program, which include community, which include mentorship in the form of a sponsor. There's literature to read. There's gatherings. In the Kundalini tradition, we talk about Sangit, people who are on the same path. That's such a key piece in any form of recovery, to know that you're not alone and have other people to talk to. And then the 12 steps themselves are really this roadmap towards, where do I start? What does it even mean to be in recovery? And what are all the pieces along the way? And 12 steps are definitely a spiritual program. It's not a religious program. You don't have to be any particular religion, but it is a spiritual path, which means it's not for everybody. Not everybody's open to that. And there's lots of other forms of recovery that are not 12 step, which are completely valid. For me, 12-step worked. I was open. I really craved and needed a spiritual connection, which is one reason why Kundalini Yoga works for me. So it's a roadmap. There's a beginning, middle, and end, although then you always start over again. So it's kind of like I talk about this satanama. It's just a continual repetition. When you get to the end, ma, you just start back over with sa. So parts of that are looking at ourselves deeply. So what are the aspects of ourselves that have not been working for us? So whether it's harboring resentments or living in a state of fear or feeling a lot of shame so that we're not willing to talk to others about what's truly going on with us. So that's a big part, is that inventory piece that the 12 steps brings in. And then of course, which everybody knows about the amends piece. So healing our relationships with others is a huge part of this, so that we're not living in guilt and shame anymore. And we can look ourselves in the eye and be in a healthier form of relationship with others. And then the final part is the service piece. How can I give back? How can I help others? I was helped selflessly by somebody, by many people, and then it's really my honor and my blessing to be able to help others. So that is a totally incredible program that has obviously helped, untold numbers of people on the planet. However, there are some gaps. And some of those relate that there's nothing to do with the body. It is not an embodied journey whatsoever. It's talking, it's thinking, it's reading, it's writing. So there's, for me, I need to move my body. I need to engage the energy in my body, and meditation is another huge piece. Now, meditation is talked about in the 12 steps. The 11th step is sought through prayer and meditation, to be in greater conscious contact with the divine in whatever form you call it. So that's really an invitation to find your own practice. And that's such an amazing piece about Kundalini Yoga, is there's like 1,000 meditations that we can pull in, so there's, you don't have to just sit and watch your breath or whatever. Like, I feel like, I was a Buddhist meditator before I found Kundalini Yoga, and that was, one of the only forms of meditation that I knew about. So when I found Kundalini Yoga, it was this like huge smorgasbord of like options
Right.
of how to meditate. So that's kind of one way that I feel like Kundalini Yoga really complements the 12 steps. And then looking at it from the other direction, what is Kundalini Yoga missing that 12 steps provides? And one of the answers I give to that is this idea of spiritual bypass. So I feel like in some yoga circles and some communities, including Kundalini Yoga, there's this idea, well, if you just do enough yoga, if you just meditate enough, you're going to solve all your problems. You're going to heal all your relationships. You meditate yourself out of your addictions. And that is just not true in my experience. So we need like a real clear path for how to be accountable, for how to look at ourselves with a clear view, and then also be open to feedback from others, which 12-step programs provides. So those are some of my thoughts about how the two programs really need each other and benefit from each other.
Wow. I resonate so much with what you shared. And I love that you called a 12-step program a roadmap. And that's what I found in my journey. And I'd shared with you previously before this call that I feel like for me, the 12-step program, working those steps between the meetings, the group interaction like you were talking about, and my journey also included private and group therapy. I feel like those were my roadmaps, but I couldn't have done that work without the yoga. And then I also have some religious practices that work really well for me. I feel like having that roadmap helped me to be very intentional and conscious about what I was pouring in, and to be aware of what needed to be done. And again, with the Kundalini yoga and all of the vitality that I was generating and all of the prana that I was bringing in and literally distributing throughout my body during the yoga practice, the kriyas, and into my mind through my daily time on my mat. And again, the religious practices, that was giving me like the energy to walk that roadmap. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Now, step 12 in the 12-step programs I've participated in is now that I love how you said that, Satanama. Now that we're here at this Ma point, we aren't done. Part of our healing and our recovering process is bringing this message of hope to others. So I hope you don't mind. We didn't discuss this. What do you want to share about your program that you've put together and your beautiful workbook that's now available? What do you want to share with us as part of your step 12?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I have it here.
Oh, good.
This lovely book, Embodying the 12 Steps, Kundalini Yoga for Recovery. It is now out on Amazon. You can also get it at my website, which is KY12step.com. So yes, this is my life's work. This is my Dharma. I have received so much. I mean, just me being alive is an incredible blessing. Like, I wouldn't have been here really if it weren't for 12-step and Kundalini Yoga. So now that I have received so much, the goal with this workbook is just, here world, here it is, and receive what I've received and how can I help? And that's that beautiful idea of from karma to dharma. So karma was me repeating self-destructive behaviors and relationships to the point that it could have killed me. And I was, relieved of that insanity and now walk a path of dharma, of purpose, of service, of how can I help? And it's really my goal to help others do that same thing, to start where you are with whatever the challenge is, whatever the addiction, the mental health problem, the relationship crisis, the career crisis, whatever the crisis, the problem is, that's where we start. But that's the beginning of this incredible journey to, well, how do you take what you learned and give it back? So yes, that was really the vision for that blog. And I'm just so grateful that to have it in those terms.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to ordering a copy of the workbook. I can't wait to get my hands on it. So one final question before I will hop off and we'll turn the rest of the time over for you. So you went to the SuperHealth immersion training in 2015, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you have any thoughts or wisdom you might share specifically for anybody who has their eye on that training, but might kind of be on the fence about whether or not they might want to attend? And maybe you answer that as simply as, what were your biggest takeaways? What are you experiencing in your life because you went there and had those experiences, and or what have you been able to create then because of the shifts inside of you and send out to the world? So I asked you like 5 questions there. Yeah, however you'll answer it.
Okay. Well, that last question is this. I mean, was really the origin, the seed that was planted doing that 8-day training. The immersion was just like so many aha moments of how Kundalini Yoga can specifically help people who are struggling with addiction. So that was my journey coming up with KY12. But what I wanted to share with people is that there are infinite ways to channel the wisdom of Kundalini Yoga and of the SuperHealth program into ways that are, authentically yours. So I came up with one, but there are so many different opportunities. So some things that I've done along the way because of the SuperHealth training is I got really into juicing. So I went out and got my own juicer and experimented with all the SuperHealth juice recipes and started working one-on-one with clients. to support them with juicing and dietary recommendations, people who are new in recovery. I used the book many times with different private clients. And then there are 2 great manuals that go along with the training. So many resources that SuperHealth and Mukta Kaur have put together. I've also worked in recovery, like sober living homes. So I would go in once a week, work with a group of people. I would usually bring in juice, and then we would do some SuperHealth meditations. Yeah, I've worked one-on-one with my younger sister who is new in recovery with the juicing and the meditations as well. So it's really actually impacted my family life in terms of being able to support a close relative who is coming out of addiction. So those would be some of my inspirations that I've found. And I just think that, each person who goes through the program, it just opens up so many different doors and so many aha moments. And just, the community of other Kundalini yogis who are interested in this is just really wonderful. I've stayed in touch with many people from that time, even 6 years later. Did I answer the question?
Yes. And if I could just say, I echo, I attended the immersion last fall online, and then I came back this spring as an intern. And I love that you're using the word versatility, because here we're set up to take these trainings and run any number of directions. Or if we're a healthcare provider or a yoga instructor of any form, we can then take it and incorporate it into our practice or our current work with our students. So you answered it beautifully. Okay, so I'm going to drop off now, and you do your thing with the 12-step and the meditation. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you. All right. Well, I wanted to share and talk about my very favorite step, which is the 3rd step. Which is about making a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of the divine as we understand the divine. And I just get so much out of this step because it's such a relief. Like, oh, I don't have to do this thing on my own. I don't have to figure it all out. I have support. I am connected to something much larger than my ego or my mind for resources and support. And sometimes 12-step language can feel a little off-putting. And so one of the pieces that I've pulled in for KY12, for the KY12 program, is I've taken out any reference to he or him. And I'm really careful to have the word divine and God, goddess, or great spirit be just as important as this word God, because I know that the word God doesn't work for everybody. So, and sometimes, especially from certain religious backgrounds, we have this idea that God is this, white guy in the sky with a white beard, and that's not true to my experience. So one of the things that I loved about Kundalini Yoga is these really positive affirmations. So instead of using the words, defects of character that you might find in 12-step, God and me and God are one, for instance. Now it does use the word God, and I'm going to suggest that people try on a different word. Maybe you use the word goddess, or maybe you use the word Satnam or soul. Soul and me and soul are one. With this idea that the divine is within us. It's not some faraway thing. It's right here and right now, and it loves us, and it's within us and wants us to be happy, healthy, and whole. So I wanted to just speak for a moment about 3rd step, this idea of, the divine is within us, and that it doesn't have to be named any particular word. You can use whatever word you want. So I wanted to offer 2 different meditations. The first one is meditation to remember the heavens. Before we start that, I'll just give a super brief understanding of what is in the workbook that I've created. So with each step, so let's say we take step 3, for instance, I give a little written description of kind of my yogic understanding of that step. So it's different than what you might find in a 12-step literature. So we give a basic understanding of the step. And then after that, there's a personal story. Third step happens to be my personal story because it's my favorite step. After that are questions to contemplate and meditate on. So if you're taking yourself through the step or working with somebody else, you have a really clear guidelines on what are some things to be thinking about as you move through this step. After that comes the Kriyas, so several yoga sets that are relevant to the step, and we explain why they are relevant, several meditations, mantras, and pranayam that that's what you find in each step. So today I wanted to do meditation to remember the heavens, and then God and me and God are one. So both of those are taken out of the meditation section for the third step. So meditation to remember the heavens is this really lovely posture, which involves having the left hand in front of your left shoulder as though you're taking a pledge, and then the right hand comes up at about 60 degrees. So I'll do a little side angle here. So the way I think about this posture is left hand in front of the shoulder is this pledge to yourself, this pledge to remember the divine within you. And then this right hand raised is this sense of upliftment and connection to the divine, to the universe all around you. So we'll be in this posture for 3 minutes. Left hand in front of the shoulder, right hand up. And the breath pattern is inhaling through the O-shaped mouth and exhaling through the nose. So that O-shaped mouth, you'll even start to hear almost like a whistling sound, and this is very detoxifying. The instructions are that this helps take any poisons out of the body. So poisons in the sense of a disbelief in yourself or negative thinking about your own being. So let's clear those poisons. So you're starting, we're in our 3 minutes, and I'm going to bring in the sound current of Aung San Waheguru. So that's one of the mantras that we paired with the third step. So Aung San Waheguru, the divine, is dancing in every cell, in every part of my being. The divine is right here in this moment. I don't have to give myself up. I just am merging with who I most truly am. going, final 30 seconds, contemplating this idea of Angsang Waheguru, every cell, every muscle, every thought, every feeling is already the divine. My soul, my Satnam, my spirit is already here. I'm merging with it more and more each breath, each moment, each day. To end, you'll inhale and squeeze every muscle in your body. Squeeze the hands, tighten, lengthen through the spine. Exhale powerfully, and we'll do that again. Inhale, hold, and squeeze the muscles, lengthen, elevate yourself, feel that pledge to yourself. And then exhale and relax. And taking a few breaths and just noticing how you feel. Angsang Waheguru, every cell, every part of me is already dancing with divine light. My soul, my spirit is already here, guiding me on this healing journey. Second meditation we'll do is from the SuperHealth book, Meditations for Addictive Behavior, and it is God and me and God are one. So one of my first few Kundalini Yoga classes, this meditation was offered, and I remember it being such a game changer for me because I felt a lot of self-dislike, of shame and guilt, and just feeling like I was a terrible person. And so this idea that maybe me and the divine are actually already one just blew my mind. So feel like it's really an important piece to the third step, that if we are going to turn our will and our lives over to something, that it's not outside of ourselves, that it's actually a part of who we already are. So the hands come into prayer pose, shoulders are relaxed, elbows are out to the sides. And out loud, speaking out loud, we'll work with this affirmation, God and me and God are one. And as I said earlier, you are welcome to change the word God if you need to. So whether it's soul or Satnam or spirit or goddess or great mystery. And maybe you cycle through many different words and see which one lands for you. So we'll be here for the next couple of minutes out loud, perhaps starting with God and me and God are one. God and me and God are one. And then shifting that word God if you like. Noticing how that feels, letting it really land and feel true for you. final minute or so, you may experiment with different qualities that call to you. Love and me and love are one. Truth and me and truth are one. Light and me and light are one. Letting the sound current, using your own voice, penetrate and impact the cells in your body, the energetic field around your body. To end, inhaling, press the palms together, imprint the sound current of these words into your being, knowing them to be true. And then exhale and relax. So those are two of the meditations that are in the workbook that are offered to support you, to support someone you're working with through the third step. Strengthening our sense of connection with the divine, that it's already here, it's already with us. Satnam.
Satnam. Rachel Surinderjot, thank you so much. That was lovely. And on behalf of the SuperHealth team, we want to thank you for your time today, your beautiful guest blog, and we want you to know we're so just amazed and proud of what you have done with the teachings. We will make sure to include in the post, it should be there, but I will ensure that we've got a link to her workbook, a link to her website, and info to connect with her on social media. Anything else before we close? Did we get it all?
I think so. Yeah, no, this morning when I was practicing and doing my yoga practice, I just had such a sense of full circle of, starting with that very first class of God and Me and God are one, and getting sober and coming to SuperHealth, and then ending up here, and just the incredible, miraculous unfolding of the world and of our lives when we are in connection with our soul and our spirit. So walking this path from karma to Dharma. And I just have that prayer for every single person who's watching this and every person that you touch. May that be so.
Thank you. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and what a privilege when it comes full circle. And I am looking forward to the people who will stand on your shoulders. Thank you, Satnam. And thank you, everybody, for being here.
Oh, one last thing, if I could
yes.
say. Yeah, so if you do go to the KY12step.com website and sign up to be on the email list, you actually get the whole step 3 section of the workbook with all of the kriyas and meditations and kind of background questions and everything to work the third step on your own. So yes, we're happy to offer that as a gift.
Thank you for your generosity.
Satnam.
Take care. Satnam. Bye, everybody. Bye, Rachel Surinderjot.